Okay, folks, quick short video. I made a challenge to Eric July to tell me one piece of criticism that he had received about Isom #1 from any good faith actor, such as, for example, Chuck Dixon, somebody who's got experience, got the qualifications, got the accomplishments, where he would actually listen to that person's advice and say, you know what, if I had Isom #1 to do over again, I would have done this differently according to that criticism. And I have to say, he did respond to that challenge. I posed it to him in the live stream just today, and he responded to it. And so what he said was that Chuck Dixon told him that the scene where Yaira and Alpha Core were fighting could have been expanded in such a way as to give more jumping off material or more setup to jump either Yaira or Alpha Core or both into their own series. And now Eric stopped short of saying that had he the opportunity to go back in time, that he would have actually done that for Isom #1. And that's fine, because, that to me falls more on the level of a stylistic choice. I don't think we actually needed more than what was there to jump off either Yaira or Alpha Core. We had them right there in front of us. We had enough to tantalize us with their appearance as to say, well, who is this Yaira, and why is it that she was barred from re-entering Fluorespark, and who are the Alpha Core, and what is their relation to the city, and are they actually really good guys, or are they more mercenary types, or what? How is this? There was enough in the book, so you can't go back and say that he did anything wrong in having such a limited presentation of Yaira and Alpha Core in that initial scene. What I was really looking more from my question was, is there anything that you would go back and do differently based on the good faith stuff that you've been receiving, and or any kind of good faith professional advice you've been receiving, where you basically look back and said, yeah, I really shouldn't have done it like that. I should have done it like this. At this point, and he's pretty much flat out said it, at this point, I don't think there's going to be ever any convincing that he did anything wrong, in a sense, either to the extent that it's something that he actually agrees, or if he does agree, that he also in turn agrees that it would have been worth making the effort to change. Like, for example, one of the examples that he brought up, which is the example that I gave to him, was of the truck color in Isom #1 in this particular scene where Sam is talking to these two ranch hands, and one of them staying on for the night, and the other one is going to be going back into town. Now, the one who goes back into town gets into a truck. This truck has the same color as the truck that is that this other guy is getting into, who's leaving the ranch. Now, we don't know whether he's just gotten into the back of that guy's truck, or if he's gotten into the back of Sam's truck, because they're the same color. You could assume either one. Now, from where the guy is going that it's more likely that he got into the back of Sam's truck, but what would have dispelled any kind of confusion right from the outset was to have Sam's truck be a different color from the truck of the guy who left. Now, if you've heard the thing about, the truck colors, I'm the guy. That's me. I'm the one who levied that little bit of criticism. Now, you can look at that and justifiably say, well, you're just nitpicking. It's like, now, hold on a second. That nitpick is responsible for clearing up some confusion among readers, because if I'm complaining, remember, I don't mind being made to look like a fool. But there's a lot of people out there who are probably looking at this same thing and thinking, oh yeah, I saw that too. But I didn't want to say anything because I'm going to be made to look like an asshole in front of everybody. And not everybody has the fortitude for that. I've been out on YouTube for a while, so, if somebody's going to make me look like an asshole, that's just par for the course. That's a day ending in Y. So, I don't mind bringing forward these things that have probably registered in other people's minds, but those people are too shy to bring it forward. So, if you hear from someone like me, you shouldn't assume I'm the only one. You should assume, okay, there is some contingent, however small, of readers who picked up on this and could have taken it one of two ways. And, one of the reasons that we're able to take it in multiple ways like that is not because we're inexperienced. It's usually actually because we are experienced. We've seen it done both ways. And so when we've seen scenes where you hit a branch point and based on maybe a tiny amount of detail, you know whether to go that way or to go that way in your understanding of what's going on. And so when those little tiny details aren't there, like in this case, the color of the truck being the same as the color of the other truck, and making us ask the question, well, which truck did this kid get into? Then, that's a clue that, okay, there are some people out there who have learned through years of experience to discern these subtle clues, and when those clues are not present, then they keep the possibilities open because they know it could go either way. So that's what's happened here in the truck case. Now, there's another case that I'm going to follow up with on a video today. I don't expect Eric to agree with this either, because he's already basically addressed it and disagreed with it in his live stream yesterday, when he basically took that guy's screed that was like pages and pages long and said, this is all garbage. 99% of that I agree. There is one particular nitpick that guy pointed out that I said, you know what, that is a valid criticism. And it's one that I didn't even bring forward. But the reason I didn't bring forward is because the book could actually work either way. And the way that Eric says that it works is not actually the way that the book implies. So hopefully it'll be an interesting video for you. I don't expect him to, shift in his position any way, shape, or form, even though the shift I would suggest is the most minimal shift. You wouldn't even believe how little effort it would take to correct what I see as this mistake. But to convince him at this point that there's been any mistake that he made in Isom number 1, I just despair of that. So in my future videos, I'm not, as far as Isom number 1 is concerned, because I would like to go back and revisit it once I've got another copy that I can kind of dissect and scan and be able to show on the page what it is I would fix, kind of like I did in my review of the preview for Ghosts of Matacumba Key. The preview that I did for Ghosts of Matacumba Key, that's probably the most detailed types of corrections that I ever did directly to the comic that I was previewing. I would really recommend you go and look at that, and I would like to give Isom number 1 that same treatment, where I can basically say, here's the dialogue that I would have here. Here is where the dialogue box should be positioned. Here's what the change I would make to the artwork in this case in order to make it pop better. I will be able to hopefully show you, once I've got a copy of Isom number 1 scanned into my system, where I can say, in this panel, here's what I believe should have been on that page, as opposed to what you're seeing there. So I'd like to do some of that in the future. I'll definitely, depending on whether or not there's anything to fix in Isom number 2, I'll do it then. But I'd like to do the same thing going back and looking at Isom number 1 as well. So maybe in the future I'll be able to do that. I don't know where I was going with that particular stream of thought, other than to say, that will not really be for his benefit, though, because he's already shut his mind to the possibility that there was anything that he could have done differently to make Isom number 1 a better book than it was, or that it would have been worth the effort for him to do it. That's two separate issues. One is the denial that there was anything wrong with the book in the first place. The other is that if there was anything wrong with the book in the first place, would it even have made a difference to correct it? It's that last little bit that I really take the issue with, because I am a perfectionist. And when I wrote my last script, which was like 3 weeks ago, I was asked to provide a 12-page script for somebody, and I went ahead and I produced it, and I went through and I wrote it out, and then I reread it, and then I saw things that I had done wrong. And so I changed the dialogue, changed, certain things in the flow, changed certain maybe costume attachments or something depending on what the story needed. And I was able to go through and say, oh yeah, I did that wrong. I need to fix that. Oh yeah, I did that wrong. I need to fix that. Oh yeah, I did that wrong. I need to fix that. And by reading it multiple times and exposing myself to it from the perspective of, okay, I am a reader who knows nothing about this story. Let me read what's here on the page, and also let me think about it from the penciler's point of view and say to myself, okay, I know nothing. What is this script telling me? And what is this script going to be telling the reader through the finished product? You really got to empty your mind like that and come at your script as if you're just a know-nothing nobody. And say, would I understand this if I didn't already know what I know as the author of the book? Because that's really where the confusion sets in. It's like, of course, Eric wrote the story. Of course he knows everything that's in the book. But does he communicate that to the reader? There are times when things are ambiguous that get communicated. There are times when there are things that happen in the book that really could go either way. So, what is the reader supposed to do? Those are the points at which, hopefully, with more and more experience, as Eric goes through and as people give him good, solid feedback, that he will be able to pick up on those things and correct for them, so that all of these little nitpicks that are brought forward, like the color of the truck, what's the harm in making the trucks two different colors so they're easy to distinguish? Like the fact that Darren Fontano's last name doesn't appear anywhere in Isom #1. I mean, seriously? But, it's something that's easy to miss when you, as the author, know the person's name. You don't realize that the reader is going to go through this whole book and think, what's Darren's last name? So, and not everybody's going to pay $100 for the document cards. So, to go through the book like that with a fine-tooth comb and find things like the thing that I'm going to show you in the next video that I do on Isom #1, if you can develop that skill, that would be best. But I don't think he's going to get that from people like me who have been, harshly critical of Isom #1, because I think that's part of what rubs him the wrong way, is that, it winds up being, I don't want to get good advice from someone who has been highly critical of my book, even though it's the people who are critical of your book that are going to give you some of the best advice. Even though, well, yeah, after looking through that guy's, pages-long screed where 99% of it was garbage, but there was that one gem, and that gem is what I will be covering in the next video. So please do be on the lookout for that. I really wanted to make this video just to say that I posed my challenge, and Eric July answered it, so, I don't have any open issue at this point, or there's no open question at this point. So thank you for watching. I'm Mike Partika. Please do subscribe, like this video if you found it informative. Hook up with me on Gab. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I'm thinking about getting on Truth Social. I haven't quite decided on that yet. I really need to get out on a more, I want to say maybe a conservative-facing network than Gab. I mean, granted, you got a lot of conservative people on Gab, but when you get rid of all the, the cesspool on Gab, you don't really have that much left over, it seems. At least not where I've seen. And you don't have a very big celebrity presence either. So, the kind of people who can get your message out to others might not actually be there as a potential network, as a potential reverberation network, where you can basically say something and have it propagated throughout the system. That doesn't, I don't feel like that exists on Gab to the extent that I would like to see it there. So Truth Social may be where I need to make a second home as far as social media connections goes. But my videos are on YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble, and please do subscribe at whichever is your favorite. I am Mike Partika. Thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you later.